It is November 3rd, 2025, and we are in the last day of the solar divine feminine set. And today is a 2-day, which is picking up the feminine sequence. And 232 is the sun. Why? Because 2 is an organic number. 2 is feminine. 2 makes a Fibonacci sequence. 2 can create because 2 ends up breaking down to 1, 1. If you're programmed to a 3 and your lowest denominator is a 3, you can't break down to 2, so then you can't create. The feminine charge creates. A 3 charge catalyzes, provokes, moves, changes. So divine feminine and the highest feminine code that can be reached with a feminine energy from what you'd call planet, the earth, the ground, is 232. But it's the codes of the sun. Our team, and I'm an ancient astronomist, and when I look at this chart now, because this is an astrology chart, but we look at an astrology chart to see where the stars are. And if this was a Vedic, it'd be the same thing, except it'd just be behind a house. Whenever you start understanding the stars and how the Milky Way works, you're inside a wheel, you're inside a well, you're inside a mill, you're inside a toroidal field, you're inside a cylinder, you're inside a system. Most of y'all have forgotten that. But this wheel, and the reason that people even get turned off by this wheel is because following this wheel and following astrology in this wheel will keep you going in a circle. Astronomy, and when an astronomist comes in, that means that the frequency of the human race has hit outside of the cylinder, and the connections from the outside, the furthest stars out, get pinged in order to start communicating, in order to build channels back down to the cylinder where the human race is, in order to start pulling them up. An astronomist understands that these stars move. An astronomist's job is to activate the DNA and send surges and work through healing processes in order to get a DNA strand that will hold for all the humans down here in existence and expanded to the extent that needs to do so. An astronomist's job, and why we're ancient and how we can read the unseen, and it's way over a shaman, because we're reading space and we're reading space-time and all of these timelines and all the Venus transits that have ever existed inside this cylinder are in our system. If you don't have connection to our system, you ain't got no space. If you don't have connection into our system, you ain't got no electricity. If you don't have no connection into the DNA, into the blood, then you can't change anything down here anymore because you're no longer connected to the human race. Everything is coming back to life. Every cell has a remembrance. Every single thing has consciousness right now. Because what the consciousness is telling you how it was connected through intention. You're reading the intention. When you come up to a building that was built with cement and made from crushed skull, because that's what the cement is, and then you start realizing that this is why Tartarians could power free energy, because their bones and their ancestors were in the building. Correct. So then why does Tartarian infrastructure and Tartarian bones and Tartarian DNA have to keep going to Tartarus? Because everybody just wants to hook into an electric system, which then depletes you of all your bones, depletes you of all your marrow. Then everybody down here is screaming, we got vampires and we got this and we got that. But no, the problem is everybody's trying to get their energy off of a source that is coming off bones. And you ran out. But the truth is, the DNA of the human race is what can connect into that. And whenever you're an astronomist and you're open up star systems and you're steering the planet and you're steering the stars from the planet, which is what Egypt was all about. But if we wouldn't have had Egypt, we wouldn't have the ability to do what we're doing right now. When you're in the lines, you're in the consciousness. And then it opens up and you creates a story and it builds over time. And this is where everyone finds out how it all happened, because you really do. But in the process of finding out how it all happened, you are changing. You're changing. You're making new decisions. Your current decisions change the past. Hear what I'm telling you. Your current and future decisions are changing the past. In the current 7-year energetic that we just entered into, and for all of us who have already come through the first 7 years of this, we're just here to guide you along. We've got some little light posts, and we set up the system and just turned everything back on to the cosmos, and remembering that we have the power to stop it when we need to. All right, stop. Stop. The energies and where the planets are lining up and the star systems that they're lining up to all have been changing over the last years because of all the humans in the system. I want you, whenever you think about astronomy, I want you to picture this as a gauge on top of a gas tank. And that gas tank has 12 different tanks that are connected all the way around. And then you got one tank that sits on top in the middle. And whenever it's got a little bobber on it, just like a tsunami floater. And whenever the human race gets to the frequency that this needs to be balanced out, this isn't balancing out, then that's what moves these planets into these star systems now. The activated humans, all in the system. This is moving according to where everyone was in 2018 on this alignment. If y'all have any really big astrologists or people, forward them this video. See if they happen to be on right now. Because this is where astrologists and astronomers have to start working together. We have two different sets of information. They're both correct. It's time we have to start merging these sets of information. It's coming from two different sets of knowledge, and it just needs to be merged and talked about somewhere so that everyone else can start seeing it. All these points and where the planets are, it matters because it's what star systems and energetic it is within the house. The whole thing's not flat. You got to picture this on a 4D model. Yesterday, the bottom fell out of the pyramid. Today, we have scaffolding. Yesterday, if you go back to the pictures, it looked like we had the Sun and Venus. You had these two little the Sun and Venus had these two kickstands down here. And I came on and did a video and said, oh, this is what it looks like when the floor falls out of the pyramid. And that's because Izar, which is where Venus is right now, and hasn't even got to 27 directly. What I'm even on here wanting to show y'all is that Venus up there in Libra is fixing to hit 27 degrees of Libra, which is Izar, right as the moon is going over Chiron in the retrograde on top of its opposing star system, which is Andromeda galaxies. Now we're getting outside of this current wheel. When you start dealing with Andromeda and you start dealing with 25 degrees of Aries, then what you're doing is binding 25 degrees of Libra. And this is the whole story of Arthur and the well, and the maiden in the well, and Merlin, and the tube, and the cylinder, and the ladder, and Jacob's ladder, and why was the girl down there to begin with? That's Izar. And it's Excalibur's sword, and we pulled it out. That also means you can't pull out Excalibur's sword from Libra. You got to do a reach around. If your energy body, and that's how this all works, because collectively, it's not just about what the Masonic infrastructure builds on the ground. That really has nothing to do with it. It's what did it build and colonize in space? Where and how far out was it mirroring with who was in the system? The currents and why they build certain things, and they want you to go certain ways, and they want you to turn right, and they want you to turn left. And now we got, merry-go-rounds in the United States, just, the streets with the little, they need you to make, because you can't attach the energy without a human connection, conscious or unconscious. The human is the connector. The whole system of the matrix is set up on levels, depending on who's in the matrix. You accidentally put the wrong one in the matrix, you just turned on a discotheque matrix that your mind has never seen. Because going through the processing of going back into the matrix basically ends up breaking the machine, because we're so ancient, we've already been processed. And whenever you put us back in it, then we break the processes on the way out and we learn how it all works. Well, that's your chosen ones. That's what we've been up to for the past 8 years. And every single person down here that's been knowing that they've been doing any healing or healing the planet or anything that you've ever done to support in any way the reawakening, had all that energy. That's where it was going. It was coming to all of us who were getting those energies at the top of those bloodlines in order to finish and connect what was already laid down here. I just described to you how Buddha was formed and why. See, because Buddha and Christ actually work together. Buddha and Christ, same energy. Buddha and Christ should have been friends and together a long time ago. It's a whole world that wanted to keep Buddha and Christ separate. But why? You see how quick they all jump sides? All of a sudden, it doesn't even matter. We aren't even talking about religion. This could be 2 football teams. All of a sudden, the Catholic king is no longer Catholic. He's converted to Islam. Okay. Might as well be 2 football teams. They're just banking on who's the owner of the football team. They're banking on the banks. They're banking on, that's what they think, because they cannot get out of their head that there was something more ancient than them down here. And even more than that, they can't understand, and they think that they've had the power the whole time. How did we automatically get the power? Oh, honey, we've always had the power. We let you do it until it was time. So if you're not scared now, then you definitely should be. Because when we go quiet, that's when shit really go down. So right now, it's like this is the scaffolding and what's under, and just so y'all are aware, when things appear on the planet, all of a sudden, to the six that are on here, here's a little bit of pearl knowledge. Started in 2017, you can go back and look, and it's when we activated down here. The DNA activated from the ancient roots, and then all of a sudden, everyone found the Peruvian skulls. Now, all of a sudden, everybody found the warrior brigade warriors from the Vikings, the feminine. All of a sudden, all of the obsidian rocks are coming out of under Egypt. Okay, well, that's because we's back down here and we's connected. And it will just appear out of nowhere. It's in the codes. We rebirth the codes. When the codes get rebirthed and it hits a connection within the DNA of the human race, because you all got them, it's just dormant. It's just remnant down there. It's laid in there. It's in there. You just got to get to it. You just got to clear everything else out of your way so that you can find that string and figure out what's plucking it, so that you can tune it a different way. That's the mission. That's it. That's what you're doing. There ain't no right and wrong. What's good and bad for you, it might be good and bad for somebody else. I don't know. There is no good and bad. How are you doing it? Getting down to the point of why you were doing it will make you understand why I'm saying it's good and bad. Because the only reason you're doing it is some type of energy or to get something. It's the only reason anybody does what we think is bad. Okay, well, why were you doing it? What were you trying to achieve? Okay, well, can we find a better way to do it? That's it. That's it. So this chart, what it's done, and the reason that I even talked about is because all the lights came on underneath the pyramid, right? Underneath Giza, it all came on. You see it now? Well, we turned it back on. We turned it back on 2018. You know why? Because it's a system. It's an ancient machine. 2018, I don't remember which full moon. I could probably go back in the books and figure it out. But we activated in 2017 down here. We were spread out all over the world, and all we had the connection to was our consciousness. That's how consciousness was laid here. And woke ain't what they turned it into. We connected and started walking through this 8 years in advance to get ready for when it happened. If you don't think there's a net, there won't be a net. If you've been building a net, there's a net. And how far out that net goes, you can't accidentally leave as long as you believe there's a net. If you don't, then you're going down. Only because we got to drop weight. Realize too that for all of us, the ancient ones, like we set up this system, we know why the matrix was set up to begin with. We know why that we went into this thing, because none of y'all could have withstood what area we were coming through in space on this rewrite. That's why this was such a long mission. That's why this is a 1,000,000-year reset. This is an evolutionary point, and it's a solar reset. This ain't no flip. No, this is, yeah, you're flipping out of the entire area of space where you were. Or not. Or you're staying right there anchored to a dying star. I mean, that's it. It's real easy. You're either anchored into a dying system that no longer has energy coming through it, or you have now connected and realized that we're all the energy that's running down here, and you're working with other people and you're working with your family in order to figure out how each of y'all's motors and everything works, so that you can teach each other and help each other build something on what you call the planet Earth, which wasn't that the fucking point to begin with? Wasn't that the point to begin with? That foundation that was underneath the pyramid system is a feminine architecture. It's why women get treated the way they do down here. It's why those particular middleman and Malcolm in the middle, this is why they do the programming that they do to women. Because they know our feminine power on this planet is what runs everything. 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 This is why they demonize the women. And then they don't understand why we don't act like them. Well, we're really tired of blowing up the world. We're tired of blowing up the world. Y'all aren't. They aren't. They just blow up the world and expect us to rebirth it. We ain't doing it anymore. You ran out. There's no more decimals, motherfucker. I can promise you, if you could keep going decimal behind on the bit, you're going to run into a fucking wall. Why do you think bit's set up the way it is? Why do you think the zeros are in front? You're going to hit a wall. There ain't no more decimal. There's no borrow from the neighbor. Where are you going to get it? The cousins didn't want to pay up. We had to go rewrite history in order to make them do it. Well, we're their cousins. But guess what? They only had a fourth of this shit. And not even that. We rebirthed the whole line to the whole thing all the way back, and then came and dealt with them. That's why everybody down here, Illuminati squatty. Seriously, the energies that we've dealt with, that ain't shit. That's like a poker game on a Friday night in some freaking illicit strip club. And the energies we're used to dealing with are way bigger. So everything that I've said is describing this chart. Venus is setting up this plateau on Izar, and it's got that red. It's opposing. The foundation is set up right there, and Jupiter is anchoring one diamond. It's anchoring one kite. Jupiter is in Sirius C. Sirius C is the soul aspect of the undercurrent. So this is deep in your mind, deep in your heart, and deep in your soul. And it's connected to etheric bodies of plasma that all birth it together. This is why when certain lines get sick, the whole line gets sick. Well, this is why. Izar has opened up now. We pulled this strand out. So out in space, there's no more veil here to all of this because we pulled it out. There's like if you think of it like a hook, and it has notches. Well, we're draconic. We blew the draconic line. We've put them together, mixed it up, and this is what we've come up with. The children have come and taken over, basically. So, but Izar coming off that line is also doing the same thing with Jupiter when it goes retro on the 11th. Right now, Jupiter's already slowing down because on 11/11, Jupiter's going to go retrograde. When it goes retrograde, it's going to uncoil from this notch way out here, and it's going to open this up the same amount that it opened it up here. And so it's this big undercurrent wave that's going to be released right here when Jupiter goes retrograde. So if you have Jupiter retrograde in your chart, in your natal chart, this is one of those times that you really want to concentrate on everything you're creating. You really want to stay in your heart focus, because Jupiter retrograde on your natal chart does mean abundance upon ascension. Because once you go through ascension, you realize you're doing it all wrong. So the reason that people who have Jupiter retrograde in their chart have a massive abundance influx is because after ascension is because when Jupiter is going backwards, you know the gnosis, you know the Gnostic way to do it right. That's why you end up hitting it rich. It ain't gonna be an old way that you used to. Well, this Jupiter retrograde right here is the biggest example we'll probably ever see of that. Ever. Because this is the first time that this is releasing, and it'll keep building binds, but it'll also keep wrapping, because not everybody's going to come all the way off, but no matter, it's going to, as y'all are going around it this next 7 years, it builds new lines between the ones who went all the way off, which is how everyone ascends out of it at their own pace. You're not going to be forced out. You have 7 years in order to clear out as much as you can. And believe it or not, you've already written half the story the past 7 years. So it depends on what you've been focusing on. If you haven't been focusing on this at all, then and you just found out, oh shit, well, then you best start focusing on this and adding some of this into your life every day, just a little by little, and just command it to be so. Because all you're doing is tuning your energy in order to make sure that you're in the blue and you're going the right direction. Because see, there's two kites. It's like a two-headed monster. The other kite is anchored over there with Mercury and Mars. That's the one that split down they're both split down the middle too. And even there's two, see how there's two overriding X's? We've had that one X, so now you know why X. When Elon bought Twitter and he did that X logo, this is why one X has two lines. This has been in the collective chart for weeks. This is why I commanded that X break. I commanded it yesterday or day before. Well, then this one comes up. So there's really two X's, but this one and this one are a bigger scaffolding X over that other X that's been there a while. You've got Venus to Jupiter. Venus is in Izar. I just told you what's going on there. So Venus is just 27 is going to be dead on. The moon's going to go over Chiron as this is happening. So all the information and flush and everything that we've been doing, purifying, because all the planetary stuff goes through the system, then it comes out the sun and the moon. It's like a washing machine. So the moon is highlighting that, and Venus, they're working together. Are you kidding me? So Venus is popping out when she gets over here and expanding. Boom, it's already been cleared. This is where the full moon was, the last full moon. By the way, cleared for this. The moon's going to line up right here. Remember how I was talking about Algorab? You're not going to be able to pick anything up on this cycle. You're going to have to wait till everything gets over here. Well, here's our first instance of it. Because it's got to go through Algorab and shoot all the way over to Notice 2, which is number 1, which is right here. And the colors are yellow and blue. Everything's yellow. Neon yellow. Not neon green yellow, neon yellow. But you're in neon yellow. You see everything navy blue, dark, dark, midnight blue. The shadows are blue. They're not really black if you pay attention. It's got like a blue hue. But in this energy, everything's yellow. You see blue. Where it's going to line up, everything's midnight blue. Where Chiron is right now, where the moon's fixing to go over, it's on Andromeda. Everything's space. Everything's midnight blue. You see everything bright yellow. You're in the space. You see yellow. And what's happening is Cassiopeia and this whole lineage of bondage and all that, Cassiopeia and all that is linked up into the capturing of the different lines and all the breeding that's been going on down here. That's all what's coming undone. My point is, we set it up to undo it. That's what everybody needs to get. That's what everybody needs to understand. We're under control. We're in control here. And who's we? The ancients. We're in control here. The more that realize that, the easier this ride's going to be. And the faster the payout's going to come. That's all if you have an audience, all you need to be telling everybody is the ancients are here and they got it, man. Everybody just keep rolling. Just keep going forward. Just let them fucking handle it and watch. The ancients are here. Everything that's happening, everything. I don't care what it is. Everything that is happening right now is showing you something in the system or clearing the way for a path to be arranged for it to stay. It's got to change. It's got to move. It's 2 different land maps. It's actually more than that. It's like a whole different planetary topography that exists with all of us mixed together. That's why they wanted us to just hold down the projection so they could just go colonize the future. We already paid our price. We've already been down here for millions of years, becoming the planets, becoming the stars, just so you couldn't fucking pull it off. Once everyone realizes that your consciousness is coming through the stars, the more connection that you have into the star consciousness, the more the planetary makes sense. Both of them got to work together. If you have no idea what star systems you come from, how the hell can you guide yourself? Because your chart's just supposed to get you to your cue. Once you get to your cue, you aren't going to get a script. Your journey to get there is what you're going to show up and do on cue, which is going to prove who you are. Otherwise, you're just a paid actor in just one of them. So whose morph suit you walking around in? And I know what I'm telling you from walking it from experience, because all of us that freaking ascended and descended into this filth, this is how we did it in order to find each other, in order for them to attack us and us to outsmart them. I'm telling you how we did it. That one kite that Mercury's going to go retro. Mercury's going to go retro right after the full moon. It's right now. It's in the laws of Ma'at. It's in Ophiuchus too. This is why you're finding 7,000-year-old women with new DNA in caves. But that's funny because the past 2 years I've been having to make sure that I get back a pair of boots and a pair of moccasins because everybody was trying to take them and say that they's theirs. not having any idea what the responsibility is, not even have cleaned out your bank. You don't even got a place to put it. What are you going to do? You're going to build a little castle and wear it around like a hat? Will Smith. Is that what you think it is? You just put a little hat on and then you become Balenciaga's freaking creative manager? Well, we're clearing your castle, man. You don't get to ride on our energy, fucks. And by the way, the reason you wanted it is because it's so powerful. And then you wanted us to be so evil because you thought that you'd just make one big evil person that'd come do the rest of your work for you after you've been so evil. And lo and behold, we're pure as snow. And it was all a setup to begin with. Sounds about right. If you're on that Mercury kite, if you're heading straight to Uranus, well, if that Uranus kite that's down there with the cross that's going through it, if that's the level that you're jetting in on down here, if you're coming in on this change, and none of them are right or wrong, it just depends on where you're coming in from, because this ain't flat. If you're coming in right here, you're coming in on the blue avian degree. This would be group 7. You're coming in on a blue avian degree, and that's fixing to switch. The same as this is going up a notch. This just lost all its notches. And that's been going on for a couple of months. We've been seeing everything blow out on that trigger switch between Uranus and the beginning degrees of Sagittarius. And that's because M22 Sagittarius is the remnant star system that is the furthest out of Sagittarius. And we's your internet. We're the ones trying to get out of this system. We're the ones who loaded down here and came back in order to figure out why the fuck we couldn't. So the Sagittarius little sideway cross in the X is over. It's been over. You're just witnessing it on the ground for the first time the first year, because that cardinal cross stood up. I can promise you that. And there is this little thing right in here where there was a cross. The cardinal cross was like this, and everything was on the Templar. And then when it went mutant, it went more Sagittarius, but everything was being controlled from a creative process in Sagittarius. Then sent down here, full Gnostic knowledge, no ability to understand it without a connection. AI's like, oh, they cook themselves. Oh, okay. Human race is 1700s. And the Gnostic is we cook a dinner. And all the people in the kitchen, and you had your most powerful mothers, and this is why we did the cooking. Why? Because we put the love in the food. It wasn't because we were your bitch. We sat there and intentionally put good energy and good love and put all of that family into the food so that when you ate it and it left, it still energized you and kept you connected. That's what we was doing. We was cooking for the family. Some 3D or AI sees that and says, oh, they cooked the family. Okay, well, how do we do that? We turn on the gas stove, lock them in the house? This is how this all got started. Every single thing that's happening down here now, all from num children. There was all a Gnostic thing in the spirit that you see when you're coming through it. You don't literally do it. The more that you do that and you fake the system, what you end up doing is pull the Gnostic and it builds a bridge. Then when the whole thing cracks, then you seep into those cracks and you find out this is what's going on. Well, that's what the Diddy and Epstein, that's what it all is. Why was they doing it? Who cares anymore who's on the fucking list? Don't you want to know why they were doing it? You really think it was about one dude and getting his rocks off? Come on now. Come on now. That's what this, if you, that's what, no kite is wrong. It's just whatever kite you're ready to be on. If you're on this kite right here, then you're in a collective consciousness that's working together in a collective consciousness that has all been purified through all the lines, through everybody down here since this thing started in 2017. In every scenario that you go through, one of us has already been in it. I don't care what it is. Over since 2017, every little pickle that you get yourself into, we've already made a cucumber out of, and then de-seeded the motherfucker, and then purified it, and then waited to see what algae it grew, and then took that algae and then purified it with the gases from another star system that just got made, and we made something new. You follow? So it's a pure connection. What you're learning is how to walk that in your human body, how to pick up those connections, how to work in a unit from the etherics, because it's what you're doing down here. It's how Earth works in a bloodline. You're just going to be getting your bloodline back. You're going to start the best friends that I have friends now. I didn't have friends in the system. I didn't know what friends were. Since I've got out of this, now I have friends because we met each other working in this system. And it's fixing to open up. Because when Mercury goes backwards and Mars moves into Sag, you're going to get the full feminine knowledge. Not the Antares knowledge. You're going to find out what bit really is. You're going to find out what it's really going to cost you and your bloodline to keep buying bit. You're going to find out what QFC and QFS really is. And then you're going to make the decision, do you want to bind your family line for 5,000 years and get the money now? Is that what you want? Because that's what it is. That's what you're going to be getting. All that information. To be able to make decisions in this dimension, in other dimensions at the same time, because you're clearing through it and you're just finding out about it. It's been over your head or underneath you the whole time. If you're on this one, then you're aligning to your soul mission. You've already done some of this, which is why this kite even exists, which is how we can control it with the Sagittarius. It's because you're getting all the knowledge that's already backed up in the system. We're still blowing this way. Y'all are coming in to clear up this part and it'll lift this whole thing. That's why it's a foundation. That's why you're all covered. There ain't nobody down here that's not covered. But if you've been abusing it, you have to learn. And you learn where the energy is you've been pulling it from, wherever it is. That's just it. That's the lesson. Then how do you make your own energy? I don't know. That's different for everybody. But sex ain't the answer with random strangers. I can promise you that. Because we're dealing with DNA. We're dealing with something completely different. You can't be mixing. The more you mix it, the more you gotta fucking segregate it. At some point, the more mixing that you're doing, I don't care what it is. I don't care what old alchemy it is. The more mixing that you're doing, the more you're going to have to separate out each one of those things. It's going to have to become whole again in order for it to do anything now. And you're bound into the process of every single thing that you took a piece of and put in now has to go resurrect itself individually. And then that's how you end up being a planet. That's how a star ends up being a planet. All religions were making planets. All religions were making planets. I used to be, when I first activated, I was scared to death of Saturn. I didn't even know any of this. And just so y'all know, like when I activated, it took me like 3 months to memorize just the sigils, because it was such a lock, because it's such a Pandora's box when all these memories come on. I mean, it was like I was having to pick a lock in my brain to even memorize these. I couldn't remember that was Uranus. I couldn't remember that was Jupiter. I have to go back and look, go back and look, go back and look. It was 2018. Once I got that memorized, oh shit, that's when the doors came open. So just FYI, the abilities that you have that are going to change you and everything are going to be the hardest ones to crack open. You got to crack it open just like a lock. Because you're not gonna be able to get the ability until you go through each one of the things. See, so all of you that are mixing and doing all that, you just created a lock system that now you've got to undo, and you want to undo it quick. Because I can promise you, the ones that did it on the big side, they don't. Their whole point was to trick your ass to get you in there and build anyway. They're not gonna, they're gonna let that motherfucker sink. Okay? If you've been unconscious for the past 7 years and screaming that all of us were crazy, that's okay. We're not even mad at you. We probably would have said the same damn thing if we wouldn't have been connected to what we was connected to. But now you're getting connected. So now you're gonna see. This kite is going straight to soul mission. This is the soul of the collective. And this kite right here is breaking these pillars that I've been talking about. And it's standing this up. And basically, once this cardinal cross gets stand up, then it starts going. It starts pulling it back like a rubber band. And we've already seen that on the solar. We had a flux that happened yesterday, like a burp on the sun. Boom. And then today, it took up half of it. Over half of it is another burst, another flux. It's a flux. And when those fluxes happen, it pushes us. It's just like a rocket flux. Just like it. We're going this way. A group of y'all are diving now. We're pulling it up so that you can go down and get it. Cool? If you're on this one, you know. If you're on this one right here, you're in a unit. You're leading a unit. You're about to find out you're leading a unit. It's going to feel like you're on a mission. If you've been asking to go on a mission, here it is. If you're like, oh man, I want some of those crazy stories like Chestia says, like I want to witness this shit. Like, man, bring it on. I don't want to sit in my house every day now. I want to do it. Angels use me. Angels, God, whatever. Well, you're fixing to get it. And we're 100% guiding you. You cannot fuck it up. You cannot fuck it up. The only way you can fuck up is to not do it. Because if you don't, it's going to go over your head. Someone else is going to do it. And then I can promise you're going to find out about it because it was your energy. And it's going to royally piss you off. And I guarantee you'll never do it again. We're all working together. It's just ancient things that are stronger, and ones of us who had to bring it in and connect in it, well, now we're filtering it to you. And we need it filtered to you. Because once it gets filtered to you guys, oh my God, y'all got different branches. Y'all have all the missing little pieces that we're like, how the fuck does this turn into this? Well, we're just waiting for the right two cogs to show up and connect it in the middle. Okay, well, we command that happen now. Go find your original tree. What time is it? Oh gosh, when it's white, I can barely see. I look awful. I can't see the time. Somebody tell me what time it is. It's white. $4:43. Oh, thank you, Don. So, this kite down here, okay, us as a collective, the entire collective. So if you weren't involved in the collective mission in 2017, 2018, 2019, then you probably won't know. All of us were working together on YouTube. All of us were working together everywhere that we could get a connection in order to heal each other and to share what we were seeing, because we were having to clear it all. This is when it became all captured in technology. But we had to clear the planets. We had to clear the star. We had to turn on the star systems. Each individual person that got a reading, we had to connect and say that we clear all the DNA back to the source root of it. All of that had to be laid to turn it all on. 2018 is when that first dunk happened. So basically it was 11 and now the sequence started for me on 11/3, which is why I came on here. And basically from the feminine standpoint, we went all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. You remember that fish that everybody was talking about? It's the end of days because that fish that lives at the bottom of the ocean kept showing up. Anglerfish is like that. But the feminine consciousness, we went, it was triangulated from Australia to Maui to Texas. We triangulated and then we did the water purification, the ancient Egyptian water purification, which is where you pour water into something. We were pouring, all three of us were clearing, and then boom, all of a sudden, I'm etherically now I'll remind everybody that I was put in the chamber. So I was legit with needles in my neck, put in the first hyperbaric chamber by the head of the Air Force in 1983. So all of a sudden, I was at the bottom of the ocean and I didn't know where I was at that point. The only thing is something was biting at my head. And I was like, what the fuck? Like out of nowhere, this big thing came out and was like, and tried to bite at my head. And I was like, oh shit, I'm getting out of here. And basically from my energetic, I just went all the way up. Then once I got all the way up, then I came out some mountain. I still don't know where this mountain is. It could be in Antarctica. I don't know. I've always known that whenever it finally appears that I'll know what it is and where it is. I haven't seen it yet, but it was this gray volcano, big motherfucker. And it was like my head was coming up in that volcano, but it wouldn't fit because I was big now. So it was like my head went into the volcano, but it got hinged on my shoulders. So it was like I knew that I had to take over the entire energetic of the area and lift it up so I could fucking stand up. And then when I did, and I came out the other side of that, I was speaking like, I don't even know, 20 extra light languages. I mean, no, I didn't have all that before I went through there. I spoke Enochian and Draconic. That's it. When I came through that, whatever the hell that was, when I had to lift it up, that's when all this other shit, well, that's that hinge right there. That's that hinge to this is our thing. We've been proven this whole time as a collective that we are the planet, that we are the ancient ones. All of that is reoccurring right now. So, and I've heard some of y'all talk about you feel like you're a little bit underwater. Well, this is why. You're now gonna clear through the plasma. Space feels like water. That's like when that's your mermaid training. This is actually like how do you have siren abilities but not be a siren? You literally have to like learn what you accidentally do. Do you know that you have siren abilities? Do you know that your voice mesmerizes people? Do you know? I do. I know that. That's why I'm careful with what I do and what I say. That's why they're always on my ass too and blocking me and doing all kinds of crazy shit. But also I have to be really careful because I can't get around weak-minded people, because if you just go along with everything I say, and then I'll get the karma for you being stupid because I'm ancient and I should know better. Literally. That's why a lot of y'all ancient ones, you get the karma for what your friends do. Because why are you hanging out with them? You know better. The more ancient you are, the quicker you're going to get the karma. Because you're supposed to be leading them, not going along with it. You were in there to change it. You were in there to make them see sense. You were in there. You can build an empire, man. Just change the way you're doing it and make it high frequency and don't hurt nobody. That's why you's in there. Everybody that's in there right now, that's in these secret little things, is all waking up right now. Like massive sleeper cells. That's what this ancient X is doing. We've already gone to the bottom. And cleared all the way back up. And by the way, it's 3 in the middle, 1 down here, and 1 up here. So when you're doing 5, it's 3, 1 here, 1 here. So when we're talking about 2, 3, 2, that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about 3, 2, 3, that's what we're talking about. 3 is actually smaller than 2 in our world. Not bigger. More pieces. All right. I think that's it. I just wanted to come on and tell y'all what's going on. Bye. Follow me. coCHEE32.com. Get your chart.